you can draw this in Procreate. Here's a super fun and easy Procreate painting tutorial. We'll be using brushes that are already in the app, and of course I'll take you through every single step so you will end up with a Flotastic result. I thought it would be fun for this tutorial to work on a not so typical canvas. We'll be working on this very tall canvas, really emphasizing the height and our starry sky. So the canvas we're working on is 1500 pixels by 3000 pixels. And of course, as always, you can download the free color palette through the link in the description. And then if you're ready, let's get started. All right, first thing we'll do is add a dark blue color to our background. Let's grab this one, fourth color in the first row. Let's just drag it on there. And then for our brush, we are going to use the Qual brush, which you can find in the artistic section. It's a Procreate standard brush. And then for our first color, let's grab a lighter blue, this third one in the first row. The opacity of the brush is at 100%, and let's set the size to 25. And then let's go over this top area and vary the pressure that you use, and keep your pen on your screen to make the color blend. Then we'll go lighter with the second color in the first row. And we are going to create some sort of a gradient here. But I want to keep those textures. Then we'll switch to this one, first color in the first row. Go a little bit lower. Then we'll switch to some purple, this fourth color in the second row. And we'll slowly move down. Then let's go for this color now, first color in the third row. And let's go over this lower area. And I really nicely want to cover this with this warm color, so we don't see that dark blue through it anymore. So something like this. Then we can switch to this color, third color in the second row. Let's add a little bit of that over here. We're gently going to mix this. We can also add a little bit of this brighter purple, fifth color in the second row. Over here. And then let's move to this color, second color in the third row. Let's blend that over here. And now before we move on, let's create our roof. We'll make a new layer for that, so we'll tap the plus here in our layer menu. And then for our brush, we'll go to the painting brushes and use the Nico roll brush. And for the color, we can use this one, first color in the first row. The opacity of this brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to perhaps 30. And we'll make a diagonal line like this. And we'll fill in this area. So now we have the start for our roof. Now let's make the brush a little bit smaller, like 15%. And then over here, right at the side, we'll make a chimney. So we'll just make a vertical line and a small horizontal line here. Then on top of this, we'll make some roof tiles. Let's put those on a separate layer. So we'll tap the plus again. And then for our color, let's go for this one, a third color in the second row. And let's use this brush to make strokes like this and slightly overlapping. So every time you go a little bit lower, like this. And then we can work on the bottom part a bit, like this. It can be nice and messy. Then let's add some nice textures to this area. Let's tap the layer and turn on alpha lock. And then we can use this brush to add some nice painterly textures. And we can use the different shades of blue, like the second one. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger, 30% again. And let's just gently go over here, not apply too much pressure. And we can also go darker. Let's grab this color. That's the second color in the second row. And we can go underneath here, add a bit of a shadow effect. And let's also add a bit of this color, fourth color in the first row. Just a few strokes. And also here on our chimney, let's make the brush a little bit smaller, 10%, to add some shading there. And let's also grab a lighter color, this one, sixth color in the second row. And let's add that here at the top for some light, and over here. Then at the bottom here, let's also make a window. We could put that on a separate layer. We can tap the plus. And then for the color, let's grab this one, a fifth color in the first row. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger, 20%. And here at the bottom, we'll make this rectangular shape. And of course, you can tap and hold the eraser to make that switch to our Nico roll brush. And we can make the brush a bit bigger, 15%. And then you can tidy this up. Then let's set this layer to alpha lock. So we'll tap the layer, turn on alpha lock, then grab a lighter color. This one, third color in the first row. And then we'll go over here and add a lighter touch. And now we can go over that with our fifth color in the first row again. We can make our brush a little bit smaller, like 3%, and then make one vertical line and one horizontal to get this window effect. Then let's go to our roof tiles over here. Let's tap that layer and turn on alpha lock. And then let's first add some touches of blue there. Let's use this color, first color in the second row. Let's make the brush a bit bigger, 10%. And let's add some blue like on the undersides, but we'll leave some gaps in between. And I also want to use some of this color, second color in the second row, for a darker touch on the underside. And then let's switch our brush. We'll go to the drawing brushes and use the Oberon brush. And then we'll add some light touches to our roof tiles with this color, sixth color in the second row. Opacity of this brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to 8%. And let's go over the tops here. Make a little line like this. Nice and painterly and chunky. Just fleshing out these roof tiles a bit. And then to flesh them out even more, we'll add a darker color. We'll use this one over here, fifth color in the first row. And let's add a little bit of shadow here and also on the underside. So between the roof tiles and underneath. So now we got a nice painterly roof. Let's go back to our sky layer and let's add some more touches there. Let's go to our spray paints brushes and use the flicks brush. And let's use this color, third color in the third row. Opacity of this brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to 17. And here at the bottom, let's add some flicks. And over here, we can also use the orangey color, second color in the third row for some more. And let's also use the splatter brush. You can stick with this color. Opacity is at 100%. Let's set the size to 20. And let's just add some random splatters. Maybe also some blue. We can use this first color in the first row. Add some touches to our sky. And if you feel like it's getting too much, then you can always go to the artistic brushes and use the qual brush again. And then just grab local colors and mix it a little bit. So you can just tap and hold your finger on the screen to grab a color and then go over and blend it a bit. Next, let's switch to the Oberon brush under drawing, and we are going to add some stars. Let's grab this color, third color in the third row, and let's make a new layer on top of this. We'll tap the plus, and then we'll start adding some stars. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller, 2%. And let's just make some of these dots. And then over here, I'd like to add the moon. So make it this one a little bit bigger. It reminds me a bit of like a Van Gogh painting, like Starry Night, or like the Terrace by Night. Let's also grab a blue, this one, a sixth color in the second row for some blue colored stars. I hope you're having fun following along with this tutorial so far. I just want to let you know that if you really want to take your Procreate drawing and painting skills to the next level, or if you simply want to have fun following loads of tutorials, then at my Patreon you will find more than 200 of them, but you'll also get loads of brushes, worksheets, exercise files, and you'll be part of an amazing group of flow creators. So maybe I'll see you there. You can just follow the link in the description. But now let's move on. And let's also add some extra color to our moon. Let's add a little bit of this pink. First color in the third row. A little bit here on the underside. You can also add a bit of that orange. Second color in the third row. And then maybe add a little bit more of the yellow to the top. And to add a little glow, I'd like to go back, or well, we could go back to this layer or just make a layer in between. We have enough space. Let's tap the plus for a layer in between our sky and our moon. And then for our color, we'll grab this one, sixth color in the second row. And let's grab the qual brush again under the artistic. And let's make it a bit smaller, maybe 6%. Let's see. Yeah, that's perfect. Make like a little circle around it. And I'd also like to add a little bit of this green. That's the seventh color in the second row. Add a bit of that, using very little pressure. And then to blend it a bit, we'll go to the smudge tool, little finger here, and then we'll go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. The opacity of this brush is at 60% and the size at 5. And then I'll just go around the edges a bit, making it a bit softer, like this. Then finally, for our main character, our cat, let's make a new layer. We can actually merge these sky layers together. And then let's tap the plus. And then for our color, let's use this one, 5th color in the first row. And for the brush, let's go back to the Oberon brush under drawing. The opacity is still at 100%. Let's set the size to 8%. And then let's start by making a line up like this, and then a curve like this. This is the body of our cat. And then here we need a rounded shape for the head. Then let's make the brush a little bit smaller, 2%, so we can easily add the ears like this, just a triangle here and one here, a little bit rounded. And you can refine the shape of the cat a little bit. And then over here, I'd like to add a tail, just a shape like this. Maybe make this a little bit bigger. And then let's make a new layer on top. Let's tap the plus for the eyes. Let's grab this color, 7th color in the 2nd row. And let's give it 2 big eyes. Next, let's go to the inking brushes and use the tinderbox brush over here. And let's use that to draw the nose. Now, the opacity of this brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to maybe 5. And let's make a simple nose shape, just like a little T shape. And we can also use this brush to create a mouth. Let's use the 6th color in the 1st row. And let's add a little mouth. I hope you can see it on camera since it's quite dark, but you can add a little smile. Then let's go back to the Oberon brush under drawing, and let's turn on alpha lock on this layer. We'll tap the layer, turn on alpha lock, so we won't be able to go outside of the shape, and then grab this color. 8th color in the 2nd row, and let's add that a little bit to the underside here of the eye. So we get a slight gradient. And then let's add the pupils with this color, 6th color in the 1st row, and we'll go back to the inking brushes and use the tinderbox again. And then we'll make these typical cat pupils. Next thing we need is add some shading to our cat. We'll go back to that body layer, and then you can tap alpha lock here as well, so we won't be able to go outside of the shape. And then let's go back to our qual brush under artistic, since it's it mixes everything so nicely. And let's grab a lighter color. Start with this one, 1st color in the 2nd row, and let's just go over the side a little bit here. Add a touch of blue on top of its head, side here. I just want some variety mostly. Then let's go lighter. let's grab this color, 6th color in the 2nd row, and we can make the brush a little bit smaller, 3%. And let's add some lighter edges. So here, along its back, the head, and the top here. Then let's switch to the Oberon brush under drawing, and we'll be able to make some more precise lines. Like, for instance, I want a line over here for its leg. You can add some lighter blue here. And we can also add some purple. This one, 3rd color in the 2nd row. We can use that on the inside of the ear here. Just make like a triangular shape there. And let's go even lighter for that light around the cat with this color, 7th color in the 2nd row. And let's go along the edge. So here at the top. And to blend it a little bit more, you can use the artistic brush again, the quill brush, and go along the edge just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more blue. We can go over with this one. 1st color in the 2nd row for a little bit more blue in this front area. And then what our cat needs is whiskers. Now let's make a new layer. Let's tap the plus, and then let's go back to the inking brushes, to the tinderbox. And for the color, let's use this one, 8th color in the 2nd row. Let's check our size. Well, that's actually perfect. We can add some of these whiskers. And what you can do with these whiskers, it's very subtle, but what you could do is tap Alpha Lock on this layer. And then you could use the soft brush. And then we can grab this blue, 6th color in the 2nd row. And then we can add a little bit of a gradient to these whiskers to make the brush small, maybe 4%. Opacity is at 80. And we can go over the whiskers and make a gradient from that blue to green. Now what you can do for a final touch is add a bloom effect to your illustration. Now what you can do is slide down with 3 fingers and then tap Copy All. And then we'll go to the top here, and then we'll slide down with 3 fingers again, and then use Paste. And now at the top of our layers, we have the entire image on one layer. Then let's go to the magic wand, then to Bloom, and then you can slide to the right to increase the effect, but we'll have to play around with the settings. I want the size to go down. I don't want the burn to be too high. And if you want to check the before and after, you can tap one finger on your screen and then you can use this preview here. If you hold it, you'll see what it was. And if you let go, you'll see the effect. And I actually like the effect. So I'll go for this just by tapping the magic wand and getting out of here. And that's it, you're done. I hope you had fun. Don't forget to share your work, and I'll see you next time for the next tutorial.